Hello everyone, and welcome to this tutorial on the OtherWorld plugin or the Unreal Engine. My name is Joseph, and I'm going to walk you through this system, a plugin that you can use for creating dimensional or time-based game mechanics. If you've ever played games like The Medium or Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, or A Link to the Past, you're probably already familiar with the concept of switching between worlds or having different kinds of objects exist within some worlds and not in other ones. And this is what the OtherWorld plugin uh, gives you the opportunity to create yourself. Whether you do it in C++ or in Blueprint or a combination of both doesn't really matter. This system works in both of them. So in this tutorial, you'll learn how to set up the plugin, what an actor that exists in a special world looks like, how you set it up, and let the player switch between the different worlds. And you can also configure advanced features like time frozen objects and objects that transition for specific worlds, but not for the other ones. And if we have some time, we'll also add some transition effects, like sounds when you transition into some from one world to another, etc. So first off, just to make sure that you have the plugin already installed, I assume that you've already got it from the marketplace or the source code. And if you have, just make sure that it's active. So go into the plugins part here. There should be a gameplay and the OtherWorld system, the OtherWorld plugin. If it isn't, then just make sure that you install it correctly. Also make sure that the checkbox here is installed. Checked. And when it is, if it hasn't been and you do it, it'll prompt you to reboot the engine. Just be quick to do that. A little side note, whenever you have the plugin already installed, you can also press the documentation and it should be able to bring you to the system, to the documentation itself, whether you wanted the Blueprint version of it, the C++ version of it, or just a quick start guide to start off your journey with the OtherWorld system. All right. Before we get started, we have to know about three concepts of the OtherWorld system, and that is the concept of a world entity, and a world portal. In OtherWorld, a world isn't a separate level or a map. It's a dimensional state that shares the same physical space as other worlds. Think of a world as an overlapping reality that can contain different objects and follow different rules. It could be a timeline. It could be the real world or the spirit world. Whatever that world represents is up to you. And for this demonstration, for this, I'm just going to be using a box, and I'm going to call it world A. Whatever world A represents is up to you. You can think of it as a timeline for now. Then we have the concept of a world entity. And a world entity is an actor, an object, something that exists in one timeline, in one world. This could be your character, this could be a box, this could be anything that your game requires, right? And you can have multiple of these in this world. And you can have multiple worlds. I'm going to call it B. And I move these things here, the world entities, between both world A and world B, and color code them so that you know that this entity here also exists within this world. For instance, if this would have been a timeline, this was the present, this is the past, this box would exist in both the present and the past. Removing this, and you can see that a puzzle can be created basically out of this. You have your characters or your boxes that exist in one timeline, But if you move back in time, you see that there was something else there, and you can do something with that, solve a puzzle, move backwards into the present timeline, etc. These are the entities. And how they react when you are in one of the worlds is up to you. In one timeline, one of these objects could be rotated, right? In one of the other boxes that you can be active in one timeline, deactivated in another one. So you can have rotating platforms, and if you move to the past, those rotations have stopped. Both exist, but they're in a different state. And thirdly, you need a way to traverse between the worlds. And for that, I am going to create a box here between this. And the reason why I'm creating it between the worlds is that you don't have to have actors that react to world changes. You can have your default level actors that just give you the ability to traverse between them. You can, of course, make it part of this world, world A. Just remember that when the character moves into the portal into the second world, this actor will be disappearing and you won't have a way to move back. Obviously, you can change and add a separate portal which takes you back to the world. So these are the three main things that you need to know of. You have entities, you have worlds, and you have portals. It doesn't have to be a physical portal. It could just be a gameplay ability. It can be a button that the player presses. It's just a way for you to tell the system, hey, some input has been made. Please change world from world A to world B. There's also a bonus thing that is added into the OtherWorld system. That is a mechanic. And that is that you can actually take one of the things that exist in world B and traverse it through the portal into world A. And that is it. Let's go back and set up one of those worlds. So how do we do that? Well, the OtherWorld system heavily relies on gameplay tags. And we can set it up here in the project settings. There is this OtherWorld settings tab here, and there is just one setting for now to make it easier for you to get started. For me, this is the third person default template. I just installed the plugin, and these were the tags that exist already. But for now, I'm going to set up new ones. So let's call them world past for the first one. Now we can do another one, world present for the second one, and let's do a third one, world future. So now we have three different worlds: the past, present, and the future. Could also have been a dimension, but for now, I'm just going to go for timelines. They represent timelines for now, for me. And the only thing that you have to do is just set up a default tag. And for me, it's going to be the present one. This is mostly just for initialization purposes for the actors, so that you get an expected behavior for all of your actors. All right. And if we start off the game, nothing really happens because we haven't really done anything. So let's just start with making the character something that exists within the world. And we are going to content, third person blueprints. And here we can just add a world entity component. As you saw there were a number of them. We're just going to focus on the world entity version of it. And the world entity component is all you need, basically. The only thing that you need to do is you set up which worlds this actor exists in. And you can do that per blueprints, or you can do that per instance. For the character, for the play character, I will go ahead and do it for all of these. So the character will exist in all of the worlds. This example, let's make it representative of the game, and it's going to be future. And this one's going to be world C. I'm just going to remove it to make it exactly as in the game. So now it exists in both past, present, and future. And playing, nothing really happens because we spawn into the default world. However, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to remove these. I'm going to show you that we now no longer have the playable character because we are spawning into the default world, but the character doesn't exist in this one. All right. And there we have it again. That is the first part. So now we've created 3 worlds, and we've also said that the character that we're playing exists in all of them. Let's go ahead and make some content. I'm going to go ahead and do everything here in Blueprint just to include everyone. It's easier to demonstrate, but you can do the same thing here with the C++ classes, of course. We can do this in multiple different ways. We do have predefined world actors, which you can just use, just plug and play in, and go ahead and just set it up as you want. But for demonstration purposes, I am going to go ahead and just make an actor. I'm going to call it BP cube. And this one will have a static mesh. And I'm just going to go ahead and add, let's go with the cube. Since I named it cube, I will go ahead and make a cube out of it. I'm also going to make this one a world entity. But I'm not going to set up the worlds in which this one exists in, because this is a blueprint, and I want to be able to configure different instances of this blueprint for different purposes. And for now, this is what it's going to look like. And find the world entity part here, and also the worlds in which this actor exists. Just set it up, make it part of the present world. And if everything is set up correctly, you should be able to see it. You should be able to interact with it, both with physics and whatnot. This is a bit huge, so I'm just going to go ahead and take a 1 meter. This one's more beautiful. And as you can see, it exists. Same thing here. I only changed the static mesh of it. To demonstrate that this actually works, we can go ahead and copy one of them, and instead of having the present timeline, I'm going to go ahead and make this one exist in the past timeline. I'm also going to go ahead and make this another one and add it to the future. So once we start, we will be spawning into the default timeline that we set up in the settings. And when we do that, the default one will be present, meaning the present world, only actors that exist in the present world will be shown. And as you can see, we have just one of them. All right, so now we have set up 2, actually 3 actors here with the character additionally as well. But we haven't really set up anything that we can use for traversal between them. So let's go ahead and make a portal. Again, you can use the world portal here. We do have multiple ones, both finite world portals and also world portal. I will go through them later on in this tutorial, but for now, just to show you how you can make it yourself, we are going to create a portal from scratch. So let's call this one portal. There we go. And again, I'm gonna add a static mesh, and this mesh will have the handle circle or handler thingy. There we go. It looks pretty. The thing with this one though is that the material is annoying, so I'm just going to make a change. I'm going to show you what I mean with annoying. As you can see, it is rendering on top of everything. So I'm just going to change the material real quick. I'm going to do the default. And the same here. Default. There we go. So what that does is that it actually makes it something that is not overlapping when we walk. Okay, but as you can see, this one has collision enabled, right? So let's just remove that real quick. We're going to say that there is no collision on this one. Just for demonstration purposes, going ahead and do that again. So now we can actually walk through the portal, right? Nothing really happens because we don't have a world portal component. And this world portal component is actually just a way for you to set up which worlds to transition into. We could, of course, do this with a keyboard shortcut or an ability, but for now, we're just going to use the component here, and I'm not going to set up this property here. I'm going to set it up per instance. As you can see here, there's a box. I forgot to fix it. Scale it. So let's just go ahead and do that. We can go ahead and squish it about and stretch it out in both dimensions like that. Then let's go with 85, 85. Oops. All right. So now we want to set this up, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to change the world to transition to tag and say that we now want to transition into the past. And that is basically all you need to do. Once you have set that up, you will see we are transitioning into a past timeline, meaning that the object that we had now disappeared. And if we move back into the portal, it is a two-way portal. You can go back into the present timeline. Now we have set up everything that you need to do in order to be able to create fun puzzles and just get going, get your feet wet. We do want to set this one up, another one portal, just for demonstration purposes, and I'm going to set this one up for the future. So whenever I move into this portal, I am in the future. Whenever I move into this portal, I am in the past. That is excluding moving backwards through the portal again. So here, I am now in the past. I can go back into it. I'm in the future now. Oh, sorry, in the present. And if I move into this one, I am in the future. Since these portals aren't any world entities themselves, we can go back and forth and we can chain them together. So now we are in the future, in the present, and the past whenever we move into them together. One thing to note though, when you chain portals like this together, portals remember which world you came from, meaning when I move from the present into the past, I am now in the past. This portal here remembers that I came from the present. So whenever I move back, I'm going back to the present. But if I move into the future first, then I move into the past, and I move into this one again, I will not be transitioned into present, I will be transitioned into the future. This can lead to things going a bit out of hand if you jump around back and forth a number of times, and these will be able to switch their saved transition, their world. All right. So there are the entities, there are the portals, and we have the character that goes between them. How do we create puzzles? Well, there are the obvious ones with chaining portals, right? You have the obvious ones with the world entities. But we do have more. There is plugin content that you can play around with. We have something called a finite portal, and for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to show what it does right now. A finite portal, a difference between the finite portal and a regular portal is that whenever you traverse into a regular world portal, everything will change. Everything will be transitioned into the other timeline. Whereas in a finite world portal, first off, you set up which actors that will be affected by this transition, but also you only affect these actors and the transitions between them when you are within this finite volume. So let's just demonstrate this. First off, I am going to traverse into the past, and I'm going to set up this one to the past as well, instead of having it in the future. And I am going to track this actor, and this actor. So whenever I walk into this one, all three of these actors will be affected by the transition. And I will be transitioning into the past. Effectively, right now we've set this up to be what the portal did before. The only difference is I forgot to set which worlds this one is active in. Sorry about that. I'm going to say this one is active in all of the three worlds. And as you can see, they transition whenever I cross the border. But like I said before, we actually have to tell the system which actors to track. So if I remove this one, and just do a quick these two will be affected. So this one will not be affected by the transition, whereas these two will be affected by the transition. You'll see it's only those two who are affected by this. And this can be used for various reasons, for various game mechanics. For instance, you can have a puzzle that you will be coming across later on, and you can have a foreshadow kind of a thing, right? So moving the actors in the back here. Whenever I get there, I see that, hey, there's only one object here. Well, when I move into this one, I can see that, oh, there's actually something going on, right, with my puzzle. There's something going on in on the other side of the thing. Maybe I should go find a portal, which gives me the ability to traverse into the actual correct one. That's just one way you can go about it. You can also have objects. Let's just make that one. We can have them like this. So whenever you're here, let's make this one present in. Let's do the other way around. So we have this one instead. which exists in the past, right? And we can have something above here. And the puzzle does not let me, I cannot jump onto this one, right? It's way too high. But if I get this one, I can jump on it. If I am a bit better at gaming, and you can just jump again, and then you can jump on it, because you're traversing the time. That's another way you can go about and do this. Well, you get the point. Alright, so that is a finite portal. There are also other portals and other actors and entities you can go ahead and work with. One of the ones that you can use from the get-go is a rotating portal, a rotating entity, sorry. I'm just going to set it up to be part of the present. So when you start the game in the present, this one will rotate. When I go in another portal, it disappears, just like the end of any other world entities. But there's also this possible one, and this is where this is one of the fun mechanics that you can play around with. It is an extension of the regular world entity, which gives you a bit more control in that it not only exists in a world, but it's also active within a certain world. So you can set it up. You can set up all of these actors to be existing in multiple worlds. I will set this one up to exist in all of the worlds, but I will only make it exist in in the future, so that whenever I travel into by the way, let's change it so that it does not exist in the present. Moving into this one, you see that it does exist here, and when I move into future, it starts to rotate. And when I move back, it stops, right? So now you have time frozen objects. You have things that are frozen in time. And it can be quite fun to play around with. If you were one of those very observant ones, you saw that when we started off this one is already active, and that is because Unreal Engine, the rotating movement here starts off by auto-activating things. So just make sure that it's deactivated from the get-go, and everything should be as it should. We don't want the auto-activation to be part of this. All right. And that is basically the gist of the OtherWorld system. Now, there are multiple ways you can work with this. Sometimes you don't want to use components, right? You don't have the ability to extend world portals. Components. There is another way to work with this, and that is through interfaces. So I'm just going to go back to the portal here that we had before, and I am going to duplicate it. I'm going to call this interface portal. And I assume you know where I'm going with this. I'm just going to remove the world portal component here, and instead of having a world portal component, I am going to make an interface and implement it. There are multiple ones. There is one called a world entity. And by implementing the interface of world entity, we do have these functions that we need to implement. So we have I'm just going to add them one after another. Let's go through them one by one. We have the set current world tag and the get current world tag. These two give the OtherWorld system the ability to query your character and tell them, hey, there has been a transition to another world. Please give me the world that you are active in. And for that, I'm just going to create a quick variable called current world tag. Whoops. Current world tag. And this has to be a game play tag. I'm just going to return this one from the get current world tag. When it comes to the set current world tag, you just set it right. And then there is a similar one called the previous world tag. This has to do with saving state from to know which state you were, which world that actor actually came from. What was the last world that this actor was active in? And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to copy paste this one. Instead of having a current world, I'm going to call it previous world. And once again, I am going to simply drag and drop them. And where is... Yeah, so the only thing that's different here is that you don't set the world tag, the previous world tag. It will be default set, right? And then we have world tags. The world tags is what we have been changing so far when we configured these actors. It is basically the same thing as the worlds in which this actor existed. It is a way for the OtherWorld system to query which worlds is this actor or entity part of. And if we transition into a world where we are not, where this actor is not part of, it is going to be removed or actually deactivated, as it is called. I will go over the deactivation and activation in a minute. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Let's just call them world tags. Instead of having a gameplay tag, we have to do a gameplay tag container. And the reason for this being in a container is because you can have multiple values. It can exist within multiple worlds. All right. So moving back here, we also have the removal of world tags and also the addition of world tags. I'm just going to group them together here. I'm just simply going to do, a get world tags, remove gameplay tag. What this is used for is when you want to make an object exist within another world through gameplay mechanics, basically. So you can move things through portals into a separate world for instance. That could be one of your game mechanics. And when you want to do that, you want to add, or in this case, remove world tags when you move from one world to another, or if you just want them to continue existing in multiple worlds, you can go ahead and do that. This is going to be an add gameplay tag. And there we go. Now to the fun part. The activation and deactivation of an object. That is where the fun happens. That is where what you can use your imagination for the most part. What happens when you traverse between one world and another? What happens when you exist in one world and another? Do you want to play a sound? Do you want to make it hollow? Do you want to remove it completely? That's all up to you. Remove the physics, for instance. For now, I am going to call, let's say play a sound. And I'm going to click on a button when we activate. And I'm going to play another sound when we deactivate. And let's do what? Drop item from content. I don't know what that sound makes, what it sounds like. Yeah, let's just go with this one. And camera starter for the activation. So right now we have a portal which doesn't actually act as a portal. It is simply an actor, an entity, sorry, just like one of these, but which has been implemented using an interface instead. And there's no way for me right now to say which worlds this one exists in. So either go in here, expose the world tags container, or you can actually hardcode this with the get worlds and say which worlds it exists in. That could work as well. But I'm just going to expose it. We're going to say it exists in the past and the present. It doesn't do anything. Again, it is just an actor, just like any other actor. When I move into this one, you heard that there was an activation sound. Because the actor, when we moved into the other world, we reactivate basically the timeline. And when we move into the next one, in the future, there was the phone sound, which indicated that we were deactivated. Now, there is still, this actor does exist. It still looks as though it exists here. And that is because our activation and deactivation doesn't remove the physical representation of it. We simply only play a sound, right? To make things more interesting, let's change, instead of having it a portal thing, let's go for cube. And we are going to say 1m SM cube 1. And when we activate or deactivate, let's just change the material instead of having default. Oops, sorry. Now we can go with M1 cube 1 and just go for the M1 cube 2 for the second one instead. So when we activate, we want to do set material. Now we can move, we can do as M1 M cube MI cube 1. And the second one will have to be, say, cube 2. And when we move into them, you can see they change, right? And you can go ahead and make it hollow, you can remove physics, etc. So, alright. But as you can see, it doesn't have the right one from the get-go, right? And because we are doing this with the interface, we are implementing everything ourselves, we need to deactivate it or activate the entity, depending on what you want to do from the get-go. You can use the get default world tag node to see which node was set up, which world tag was set up as being the default one, and we can do a branch here, and we can call get current world tag. You can either use that one, or as I prefer, call this function. There it is. I want to look at equals. There you go. We want to make sure that we can equal. This one is actually the right one, and if it is, we can activate it, otherwise deactivate it. Now I'm just going to use the interface version of it. And there we go. And that should be it. As you heard, this one actually made the sound because we activated it from the get-go. That is all up to you. How do you want to do that? How do you want to initialize your thing? All right. So now that we have created an actor, which we called an interface portal, which actually doesn't do anything portal-like. And I am going to make this portal, or the portals themselves, play a sound whenever I traverse. And you can do that in multiple different ways. There is the easiest way to do that is using a delegate called OnWorld transition. And this just returns the character that was transitioning between the worlds, the object, the actor that actually transitioned between the worlds. And I'm just going to play a sound here. And I'm just going to do... sounds beautiful. A little tone here. So whenever I move into this, we now get the tone. Of course, you'd probably want to make it a bit more flashy, a bit more. Let's see if we have some zoof sound. Hey, that was beautiful. So we can use that one instead. So whenever we move into this one, we get a wolf. All right. And you can also do this for actors. You can do this for not only a specific portal, or not the portals ones, but you can also do this for actors themselves, entities. There is, let's go for, let's take this one instead. You know what? Let's go with the cube. And here we have the world entity as we have set up before. There is also a world tag changed, the delegate. And this one gives you a bit more information where you came from, which world you're about to enter, and the actor itself. All right, so to make this react to world changes, let's just play a sound here. And this one will have the a little bit of a glitch here. Noise. And we can also react depending on which world we go into, right? So if we have a branch here, branch, and we can have, if this is equal to, let's say, the present. When we jump into the present, we want to do play one sound. If you jump into anything else, we want the white noise. Let's see what we can go for. We can have that one. So whenever we move into the present, we get that sound. When we move into the past, we have a white noise. And this is for all of the cubes, right? Just make sure you don't have way too many sounds playing at the same time. Otherwise, you can probably disturb or annoy the player. Could also be a feature, depending on your game. Alright, so now we have actors that exist in timelines. We have portals that we can traverse with. We have something, an interface-based actor entity that, depending on which world you go into, reacts differently. We also have the sounds playing around. We have the finite volume. In this case, it's just a sphere with the portal component here being a finite world portal component. We can set that one up for ourselves as well. Let's go ahead and make one. I'm going to make a cube, BP finite portal. I'm going to make this a finite, add the finite portal. I will have to add a static mesh. Let's go with cube. Change the size of it. I'm just going to remove the physics here of this one. The finite portal will have the size. We're just going to change the shape here to match the cube. And there we go. So when we move into this cube here, we should have the same behavior as this one. It doesn't do anything because we haven't set it up. So let's go ahead and make this one. Transition into the past. And we need to set which actors to track. And I'm going to go ahead and do this for a number of them. There we go. So when we move into the past, it reacts as we were in this one. The reason why we didn't get the sound was because we don't track the actors that make sound, right? We're only tracking this one, and this one. And they don't have a sound. The sounds that we're playing were because of these cubes. This cube here, and this cube here. And of course, the one that's over here. Alright. And that is basically it, what you can do with the finite portal. Of course, you can shape it as however you want to. For now, there's just a cube. You can go ahead and make multiple ones. You can go ahead and make okay, so the last thing I want to show you is how we can take one object from one timeline and move it into another timeline. All right, so here I've set up a scene to be used to demonstrate the grabbing mechanic and pulling things through a portal from one timeline to another one. Now this is, just for a disclaimer once again, a game mechanic. I don't assume that you have these kinds of mechanics in your game, but just to demonstrate how you could potentially do this, this is one way you can go about it. So here I have 3 boxes and a portal. One box here set up as existing in the world present timeline, and the second one in the past timeline. This yellow one will again be part of the present timeline, and what I'm going to demonstrate is picking this one up, pulling it through the portal here so that it will be transitioned into the past timeline. This portal is set up to be giving us the ability to traverse into the past timeline. So just to show you what I talk about, I have physics enabled for these, and as you can see, they are only part of the present timeline. And once I traverse into this one, the blue one is shown, and this is the past timeline. All right, so What I will do here is I press 0. This is just an implementation that I have, and I pick this box up, right? And when I move through this portal, I traverse into the past timeline, which is demonstrated by this blue box here. And if I drop it, it is now part of the past timeline. So as whenever I traverse back into the timeline, it is no longer shown. And of course, if I go back here, it functions as expected. So how did I do this? Well, this is implementation specific, but I have two buttons set up: debug num key 0 and debug num key 1. So whenever I press the 0 button on the numpad, I do a line trace from the actor location into the direction of the actor forward. And if I hit something, I check if there is a component which actually implements the world entity interface. And if it does, I use the physics handle. It is a component from Unreal Engine that you can just use. And I set its grab component at location component aspect of it. The component part will be set to whatever I hit. And the grab location is its center of mass. The reason for this is just that I don't get any rotations and collisions because of it. This is not the important one. This is just for the grab mechanic. The important part from the OtherWorld system's perspective is this here. You want to prepare it for traversal. So whatever you grab will be prepared to traverse between timelines. And that is the actor. I go over the actor's components. I look for the entities. I grab the first one and I set it to traversing. And the opposite happens when I press 1. So I press the numpad 1 button. I check if there is something grabbed. And if there is, I set that thing to traversing equals false. And it's the same thing. I pick up the owner, I get the component, the world entity interface, which implements the world entity interface, and I get the first one, set it to traversing false, and I release it. The reason why I do this is because we want to set the target location here when grabbing, so that we update the position of the box depending on how we walk. And Unreal provides the interface for it. There is this physics handle once again, and there is the function called set target location. And I just set it as an offset from the character with 150 units forward. Again, the important part is set traversing to true and set traversing to false. This here is just for demonstration purposes so that we can update the box location. And again, this is what it looks like. Picking it up, going through a portal, dropping it down. And that is it.